Don't go to the car. Don't go to that car. Stay over here. Stay over here. And
that's not breathing. That's agonal breathing.
On October 9th, 2020, in Santa Paula, California, a day like any other took a dramatic turn. Retired firefighter Joseph Garces, while driving, stumbled upon a shocking scene. Samir Salgado, grievously wounded, lying in a parking lot. As Garces rushed to provide life-saving CPR, Santa Paula police, led by Detective Chris Rivera, arrived, marking the beginning of a contentious and unexpected turn of events. Joseph Garces' routine drive was abruptly interrupted when he encountered Samir Salgado, injured and lying motionless in a pool of blood. Garces, with years of experience as a firefighter, instinctively knew he had to act fast. He parked his Jeep nearby and rushed to Salgado's side. Assessing the situation with a trained eye, he began administering CPR, trying to keep Salgado alive until emergency services could arrive.
Came in, saw the blood. She said they were calling 911. I screamed, "Has he been shot?" She said, "Yeah, it was." I was pulling in.
Okay.
Saw the gunshot wound to the side of his face. I did a quick check.
As Garces was immersed in his life-saving efforts, the serenity of the scene was broken by the arrival of Santa Paula police officers. They came upon a scenario that was as unexpected as it was grave. A civilian, bent over another, in a pool of blood. The officers, trained for such critical situations, were quick to secure the area, their approach brimming with urgency and caution. Detective Chris Rivera, among the first responders, approached Garces. With the situation still unclear, Rivera needed to ascertain the facts quickly. "Stay over here," he directed Garces, who was now standing beside his car. Garces, still processing the intensity of what he had just experienced, tried to explain his actions. "That's my car. I was driving by. I thought," he began, his voice a mix of urgency and exasperation.
I did a quick check, found the gun in his waistband, rendered it useless, stuck it inside my car, grabbed his knife, cut off his shirt, and then you guys started showing up.
Okay.
Did you see
anybody running?
Nothing.
Anybody
Nothing.
leaving the area? Anything?
Not a thing.
Relieve him. Someone relieves him. Get a mask.
Not a thing.
Get this guy out of here, sir.
He's a witness.
What the?
Relax. Okay.
Hey,
We
Star.
appreciate it.
Huh?
So I got a crime scene, sir. I'm a detective.
Yeah, and I'm here helping him, so step the off. Okay? If you're a good detective, you wouldn't be yelling at me right now. You'd be taking care of your job.
Over here.
You. I can't get the out of here. What's your name?
Rivera, focused on establishing control over what was now a crime scene, was in no mood for lengthy explanations. He interrupted. "Do you have your ID? It's in the car? What's your name?" These rapid-fire questions were standard procedure, meant to identify and understand everyone at the scene. But for Garces, who had just been thrust into the role of a first responder, the questions felt abrupt, almost accusatory. As Garces tried to elaborate on his involvement, explaining how he found Salgado and his subsequent actions, there was a palpable tension. The police, in their quest to secure the scene and gather information, and Garces, still reeling from the shock of his impromptu role as a lifesaver, were on divergent wavelengths. This disconnect set the stage for the ensuing conflict, a clash not of intentions, but of circumstances and roles in a high-stress situation. The tension at the scene escalated rapidly as Detective Rivera instructed Joseph Garces to leave the crime scene. Garces, still coming to terms with the chaotic turn of events and his pivotal role in them, found himself in a perplexing situation. His instinct to help had suddenly placed him in an unexpected confrontation with law enforcement. Rivera's directive was clear and firm, a necessary step in securing the crime scene, but to Garces, it felt dismissive, an abrupt end to his altruistic efforts. As Garces tried to clarify his involvement and the actions he had taken, including removing a knife from Salgado's pocket to aid in his treatment, the conversation grew heated. The detective, focused on procedure and safety, was not in a position to fully appreciate Garces' perspective at that moment. The interaction took a sharp turn when Garces, feeling misunderstood and frustrated, began to raise his voice. Detective Rivera, maintaining the urgency of securing the scene and gathering information, responded with equal intensity.
27 years! When do I get my car back then? Hey, tell them thank you for teaching me not to be helpful, you fat piece.
You have to step back. Step back. Step back. Step back. Step back. Step back. I don't know who you're.
Oh yeah, so now you're gonna come over with me, huh? You're doing a really good job right now, aren't you?
I need you to back up.
You need to calm him.
I need you to back up.
Come here.
No,
I got him.
I got him. Come here.
No, you need to get your hands off me. Really, the paint compliance? That's what we need to do. Because you don't like me.
The situation, already charged with emotion and confusion, was ripe for misunderstanding. Garces, grappling with the aftermath of a traumatic incident, and Rivera, tasked with the responsibility of a rapidly evolving crime scene, found themselves at odds. As the verbal exchange intensified, it culminated in a physical altercation. Detective Rivera, perceiving Garces' heightened emotional state and vocal opposition as a potential threat to the scene's integrity, decided to take physical action. In a swift move, he restrained Garces, an action that, in the eyes of the law enforcement protocol, was intended to maintain control. However, to Garces, this physical restraint felt like an unjust and aggressive response to his attempts to explain his actions and presence at the scene. In analyzing the legal standards for securing a crime scene, it's essential to refer to the guidelines set forth by the U.S. Department of Justice. According to these guidelines, one of the primary responsibilities of first responders is to secure and control persons at the scene. This involves controlling, identifying, and removing individuals to protect the integrity of the crime scene and preserve physical evidence. The guidelines explicitly state that controlling the movement and activity of individuals at the scene is crucial while ensuring safety.
What is helping that
Take
person?
it down a notch.
You can take
Take
it down
a notch.
Somebody here's not
Take
controlling
it
themselves.
down.
It's you.
Take a deep breath.
Don't be a hypocrite.
I've taken a deep breath. It's your turn now.
Yeah, don't be a hypocrite.
You want to talk like adults? I'll let you go. You
Okay,
want to talk
did
like
you
adults?
start talking to me like an adult?
Do you understand how I need to
Do you
do my
see
job?
what you're doing wrong?
If you know how to do this job and you have a badge, then you would understand. Now, do you want
It's
to go
so
for
good.
148
It's
if you
so-
have a badge?
It's so
Do you
good
have
of
a badge?
Yes,
Are you
I do.
retired?
Yes.
Do you want to go for 148 for being in a crime scene? Just because sergeants at the children know how to do their job, and you were a
You're
cop
saying
at
your
one time-
sergeant doesn't know how to do his job?
Take him. Turn around.
The Supreme Court, in the landmark case of Graham v. Connor, established that the reasonableness of a seizure, including the use of force, depends on a careful balancing of the nature of the intrusion against the governmental interests at stake. This assessment includes considering the severity of the crime, whether the suspect poses an immediate threat to the safety of officers or others, and whether the suspect is actively resisting arrest or attempting to evade arrest by flight. In this context, Detective Rivera's decision to physically restrain Garces must be scrutinized. While securing a crime scene is a legitimate governmental interest, the severity of Garces' actions, providing CPR to a victim and then engaging in a verbal altercation, seems less severe. There was no indication that Garces posed an immediate threat to the safety of officers or others. Additionally, while Garces was vocally defiant, it's debatable whether this amounted to active resistance or an attempt to evade. Moreover, the Santa Paula Police Department's use of force policy, like many such policies, likely emphasizes that force should be proportional to the threat encountered and used only when necessary. Detective Rivera's physical handling of Garces, particularly given the nonviolent nature of the incident, might be viewed as excessive under this policy.
Being in handcuffs doesn't help me. I know you guys got to do it. Keep away from me.
You got it.
He is accelerating this way more than I
I
am.
won't let him talk to you anymore. You want the windows down or anything? How
Can we just sit right here with me, the door open? I ain't going anywhere, dude. You guys all know
I'll
where
sit
I
right here
live.
for now.
I mean, I know what you guys do. I mean, I did it with you for
Right.
27 years in Oxnard, not Santa Paula.
Right.
To have that happen, that's as unprofessional as anything I did, and a cop shouldn't lose it like that. You and I both know that.
The aftermath of the incident between Joseph Garces and the Santa Paula Police, particularly Detective Rivera, unfolded with significant consequences. Following the altercation, Garces was detained, a decision that marked the beginning of a new, distressing chapter for him. He was placed in handcuffs and sat in the back of a police vehicle, a situation that was not only emotionally taxing but also physically detrimental. The physical engagement with Detective Rivera had resulted in Garces suffering a dislocated shoulder and a torn labrum, injuries that necessitated surgical intervention. Garces' experience did not end with his release from detainment. Haunted by the physical pain and the psychological impact of the incident, he pursued legal recourse. In August 2021, Garces filed a federal lawsuit against Detective Rivera and the city of Santa Paula. His lawsuit alleged civil rights violations, including a federal claim for excessive force and several state law claims. This legal action was a clear indication of Garces' belief that his rights, as protected under the Fourth Amendment, were violated during the incident. The legal journey for Garces was both complex and challenging. On March 24, 2023, U.S. District Judge Fernando Anaya Rocha issued a ruling that granted Detective Rivera qualified immunity on the federal excessive force claim. This ruling meant that Rivera could not be held personally liable for his actions under this specific claim, as the use of the C-clamp hold had not been clearly established as a violation of the Fourth Amendment at the time of the incident. However, the federal claim against the city and the state law claims against both Detective Rivera and the city remained viable. This legal outcome highlighted the intricacies and difficulties often encountered in cases involving law enforcement and the use of force. The qualified immunity doctrine, in particular, presents a significant legal hurdle in many excessive force cases. For Garces, the decision was likely a mixed bag. While the lawsuit continued against the city and Rivera under state law, the federal claims dismissal under qualified immunity underscored the complexities of seeking redress in such situations. Now here is a quick legal from our Larry.
The Fourth Amendment guards against unreasonable seizures, a cornerstone in Garces' case. It questions whether Rivera's actions, given the nonviolent context, were a justifiable breach of Garces' personal security. This case underlines the need for professionalism and de-escalation skills in policing. Effective communication and empathy, even in high-pressure situations, are vital to uphold justice and maintain public trust.